What's up y'all, Talon here. Today I'm back with another series of high-level rank battles featuring top teams in the Regulation E metagame. Today I have a team that was inspired pretty heavily by Enzo Reci's top 8 finish at the Toronto Regional Championships. I think I've literally only changed one thing, the close combat on the Urshifu from brick break to close combat. I feel like that's a little more consistent in a best of one closed team sheet ladder environment, but you could also do Drain Punch if you want to mirror that base power, or just go brick break straight up if you want to handle things like snow a bit more. But yeah, zooming back out a little bit, yeah, this team was able to get top 8 at the Toronto Regional Championships. It was a very stacked tournament, and overall I think it's a team that handles the balanced Fluttermane, Landorus, Iron Hands, like Ogerpon core exceedingly well. The Indeedee Armarouge is definitely a soft spot for that core, so I think this was a really good take on this, just because you can consistently go for the that Expanding Force combination, and then you can either go Trick Room or you can use the Tailwind in combination with it, which I think is overall a really intelligent decision. If you appreciate the time it took to basically recreate this team in-game as well as provide the EV spreads, please subscribe to the channel. This wasn't public. Enzo did not make the rental code public, so yeah, this is a recreation that I've made in-game for y'all. If you appreciate that, please subscribe, and yeah, let's move into a breakdown of the team. So starting off on this team, I think I'm going to point immediately to the Indeedee Armarouge instead of the top 2 Pokemon. So the Indeedee set is very standard. Outside of the Tera and the item, it's basically the Follow Me, Dazzling Gleam, Helping Hand, Trick Room option. Really good utility. The Fairy type coverage is just a bit stronger into specifically Roaring Moon, which is one of the main dark types, as well as doing good damage into Chen Pao. Basically able to 2-hit KO both of the dark types in the metagame that would otherwise be able to tank an Expanding Force with ease. So yeah, I think leading the Indeedee with the Armarouge, which is a Life Orb Tera Psychic set that was, I think, popularized by Brian Collins to get top 8 at the Sacramento Regional Championships with a very hard Trick Room combination. But the Life Orb Tera Psychic Expanding Forces with Helping Hand can do incredible knockouts, like really just kind of even getting resisted hits if it's not that bulky with a knockout is really, really crazy damage. Instead of Heat Wave so that you can hit the Pokemon using Wide Guard, we have Armor Cannon here. A Wide Guard of your own, just because one common answer to the Indeedee Armarouge lead is to lead something like Rock Slide plus Tornadus, just deal exceedingly strong spread move damage to cover a Tera Grass or something like that, as well as threaten it with strong Earthquake or a Rock Slide, assuming Arcanine comes to mind. But Wide Guard really does stuff that and let you go Wide Guard Trick Room with the Indeedee. And then lastly is Trick Room on the Armarouge, just so if you lead Indeedee Armarouge and Follow Me Trick Room seems free, you can set that up, let your Indeedee go down or not, and then just Helping Hand Expanding Force next turn, or bring in the Ursaluna Blood Moon and basically just spread your strong special type attacks. Ursaluna is a pretty interesting one just because it is very fast, but despite that, it's still going to underspeed something as fast as a Rillaboom, so capable of functioning under Trick Room, but against something like an Iron Hands, you're now a little bit faster than it. And the reason we run that much speed is so that we can use it with Tornadus and Tailwind. One common game plan for this team is actually leading Indeedee Armarouge and then Ursaluna Tornadus in the back. So instead of going kind of zeroing in on a Trick Room mode, you can really, based on the lead, either go Trick Room if they led really quick, or go immediately for Follow Me Expanding Force, do a ton of damage, and then after they knock out the Indeedee, go under your Torn and then go for another Expanding Force with the benefit of outspeeding everything under Tailwind. At which point, if Armarouge goes down at some point, you can bring in the Ursaluna and kind of just like rinse and repeat, go for Hyper Voices, get the Throat Spray special attack boost, and anything that's not folding to Hyper Voice is probably going to fold to a Terra Normal +1 Blood Moon, and the things that don't fold to that will fold to an Earth Power, namely Heatran and Gholdengo. Urshifu and Fluttermane are really more filler Pokemon for certain matchups. The Swords Dance on the Urshifu pairs exceedingly well with the Follow Me on the Indeedee, so if you see a hole to the Urshifu on the opposing team, they only have single type attacks that can hit it, you can lead the Indeedee, go for Follow Me, Swords Dance, and then after the Indeedee goes down, go for Tailwind as Tornadus comes in, and that's just a really strong combination. Fluttermane is a very bulky special attacking booster energy set. You don't really gain a lot from the speed boost, given you're really going to have speed superiority versus your opponent no matter what with the combination of Tailwind and Trick Room, so it's a bit slower if you want to take hits a bit better. Tera Fairy, Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, outside of that just very standard, but these Pokemon are essentially kind of just anchors for the team. You have a pretty experimental core of the Indeedee Armarouge Torn. We haven't seen a lot of that do exceedingly well, so having something as consistent as Urshifu to blow holes in opponents' teams in Tailwind when something like Armarouge or Ursaluna aren't going to work is really nice. And then Flutter Mane is kind of just in that same vein. Tornadus, Flutter Mane, a very exceptional lead at doing consistent damage in the lead and maybe softening things up for the Ursaluna or the Armarouge in the back. Overall, I really enjoyed the games I got with this team. They're all extremely fast paced, which is a nice change of pace from the more balanced, slow teams that I typically pilot. But yeah, the battles are going to win or lose in a couple of turns, and the damage you can output on this team are just absurd. So yeah, if you want to see some of that, continue the battles. With all that being said, if you enjoy the videos, please subscribe. And yeah, let's get into the battles now. Okay, first battle with this team, we have a pretty standard team. Very similar to the team that Paul Chua got second place at the Toronto Regional Championships. Roaring Moon, Iron Hands, Amoonguss, Heatran, Rillaboom, and Flutter Mane. Rillaboom being the Pokemon I'm not used to seeing. Usually it's a Landorus Therian form. I think you generally appreciate the support of the Intimidate from that, but in our case it's actually better. For their case it's better the Rillaboom is there because they are way better against Indeedee. What are we going to do about that? I think the Armarouge is actually quite bad this match just because of, well, let me verify, but yeah, the Roaring Moon is quite problematic. I could see Flutter Mane being pretty solid for me here. Yeah. I like Torn, Flutter a fair bit. I kind of like Urshifu. What Tera am I here? Tera normal. Yeah, if I can get a Throat Spray up, I can beat the Amoonguss, but getting that up might be hard. They might try and break through me with the... I kind of like Indeedee in the back, plus Urshifu. To an extent, but I think I'm going to go Indeedee plus Ursaluna. I guess I'm a little Heatran weak with this, but I think if I get the Ursaluna in position, I can do just fine versus the Heatran. I guess my special defense is pretty low, so going back, I probably maybe still do Indeedee so that I can limit the ability for the Psychic, or be able to Psychic Terrain away the Grassy Terrain Heatran. God, I'm not speaking correctly. Okay, Heatran plus Roaring Moon. Fair enough. We'll see what their speed is. They're not actually the speed booster, they look to be the attack booster, because we're a pretty slow Flutter Mane and we're outspeeding them. Yeah, that's fine. I kind of like Shadow Ball into the Heatran just because that's a little more threatening to me. And then going Tailwind. I feel like they have to go for an offensive move this turn on the Heatran. They could go Tera Flying. I think they almost have to go Tera Flying on the Roaring Moon, which is fine. But this is kind of an aggressive team. I have to play a bit aggressive, so I'm going to go Tailwind. Shadow Ball. Get as much damage as I can on the Heatran. I feel like they almost have to Tera their Roaring Moon if they're not protecting it. And they have to be the Life Orb to knock out my Flutter Mane this turn. They're going Tera, so could have gotten some good damage on the Roaring Moon, but I don't think I have to. With Roaring Moon in the back, I should be able to tank a hit, go for Hyper Voice, and maybe knock them out. With the combination of... I'd definitely get them with Blood Moon, Bleak Wind, but okay, yeah, they aren't protecting their Heatran, so we're going to get a big Shadow Ball off. It's definitely going to be dicey in this late game, though. We do good damage, but not enough for a Hyper Voice to knock out, I don't think. They go Acro into the Flutter. We are pretty bulky, but not bulky enough to live that, unfortunately. Could have been a roll, could have been not, but they go Heat Wave, okay. Big damage, hopefully it doesn't burn, it does not. Alright. Going right into the Ursa here. Big question is, can we knock them out? I think Heat Wave... I think we go Tera Normal, Hyper Voice, Bleak Wind, and hope it knocks out both, but I don't think it will. Yeah, I definitely should have brought Urshifu this battle, but it is what it is. They might protect this turn, so yeah, I think I am happy to go for this. Like, I think I kind of have to go for it and just hope it knocks out. I guess this has a chance to get the Roaring Moon, I would guess not. It is a pretty strong Hyper Voice, but without the Throat Spray boost, I would suspect it doesn't. But maybe we catch them protecting on the Heatran. I think that's like not unreasonable. But they don't, okay. Really minimal damage on the Heatran. I don't think Hyper Voice is going to get us there. I still don't regret that play. I think we, yeah, just shy. We're probably going to need a miss here. Probably. Yeah, I think if they double hit Heat Wave, we're going to lose here. They go Knock Off, which is less damage than it would be. They go Heat Wave, and it misses Ursaluna. That's pretty huge. That's pretty enormous, actually. Okay. With Rillaboom in the back, I guess that wouldn't have knocked out Ursa, so I would have rather it hit the Torn, because now I'm setting up Psychic Terrain a little early, unfortunately, and Dazzling Gleam won't have a chance to knock out their Heatran. So that's pretty bad. Okay. Still just going to spam Hyper Voice, though. Helping Hand, of course. I could... Trick Room. Trick Room late game could be interesting. But yeah, this turn is just going to be the Hyper Voice. Would have been better to go Earth Power that turn, but you live and you learn. I probably wouldn't have been able to knock out the... Yeah, I don't know. I think Urshifu was probably the better option here, even on lead, but I didn't go for that, so... Definitely a lesson learned with the team. Helping Hand goes before the Protect priority bracket, so not learning anything there. Yep, and the Wrong Moon protects. And Heatran is not, so they're trying to get the Rillaboom in, basically. Fair enough. Yeah, it'd be cool if I had, like, Skill Swap Indeedee. I guess that doesn't have any bearing on this turn, but I could see situations where that's pretty valuable, like skill swapping, like the Roaring Moon, the turn they fake out or something, that'd be cool. No Protect on the... No Protect makes this pretty bad, actually, okay. Huh. I don't think Dazzling Gleam is a knockout, unfortunately. I think I'm gonna go Hyper Voice, just because I kind of have to, and then... I could see Trick Room being correct, actually. Who do they have in the back? Probably... Mungus isn't good. I'm looking at my speed on the Ursa. Their Rillaboom should outspeed me, actually. Okay. I see something. I'm going to try and reverse the turns here. They're switching out into the Iron Hands. I like that a lot from their end, because they can go for Fake Out in subsequent turns. But I guess it doesn't make sense in the context of... They go Wood Hammer into me that turn. That's weird. It works out though, I think. Works out for them. Because Wood Hammer should knock out my Indeedee if I had to guess. Miracle Seed, they should be fine. Throat Spray. I think Earth Power knocks them out. I kind of have to tank this hit. What's my play here? Earth Power should be a knockout onto the hands. And then maybe I win with Hyper Voice. I think regardless I have to... Okay, that's interesting. No Fake Out from them. I wonder if they... Are they not aware that I don't have Psychic Terrain on the field? I'm kind of confused. Drain Punch. Not going to knock out the Indeedee. Okay. Earth Power, I believe, knocks them out. Yeah, okay. Grassy Terrain, I don't think is a knockout. But I guess I don't have to risk going for Helping Hand this turn if I don't want to. Because they're very, very unlikely to be... Yeah, I feel like Wood Hammer was way safer. Yeah, just putting Fake Out on the board was way safer. I'm always going Hyper Voice this turn, no reason not to. And I think they could crit me with Grassy Glide. That's really their only out. If I don't go for Follow Me, like Helping Hand would obviously knock them out, but I don't think there's any value of... I guess now I'm risking a double Protect if they have that. But then Grassy Terrain will have worn out, so I think this is actually fine. I think they definitely played this wrong, where applying Fake Out on the board is a little better for them with the Iron Hands, but I'll definitely take it. Yeah, this is one of the super cool aspects of the team is you can go Tailwind early in the battle, and while they're trying to stall out that last turn of Tailwind, you can kind of flip it on its head if you have a slower, bulky Pokemon on the board. 2 more turns of Grassy Terrain. I really don't think a Grassy Glide, even a crit, will knock me out, so we're going to go for Hyper Voice. Just because I think Grassy Glide in Terrain crit is always going to be... Even with the HP recovery, I feel like a Wood Hammer crit is a little more dangerous than a Grassy Glide crit, and yeah, Grassy Glide would have never knocked out, so... Wow, okay. Really close one, but the Indeedee was able to pull it out, even though I led pretty badly. I think the Urshifu would have been a lot better for me there. Although it did do enough damage on the Shadow Balls to chip the Heatran into 2 Hyper Voices, it was still way too precarious for comfort, I'd say. Okay, up against Santiago with Milotic, Rillaboom, Arcanine, Iron Hands, Roaring Moon, and Gholdengo. Milotic on teams like this are usually Coil Hypnosis type of stuff. Gholdengo, probably Nasty Plot, but it could be Specs with Tailwind, Roaring Moon. I think Rillaboom, Roaring Moon is kind of Armarouge's worst nightmare in a lot of ways. Unless I'm switching it in cheekily, I don't think that's great for me. I feel like Torn's pretty necessary. Rillaboom, I think, is fine if they lead that. I think I'm going to go Urshifu on lead, and then honestly, the Ursaluna is pretty valuable in the back. Threaten a lot of damage, and then I will go with... There's an argument for Indeedee, there's an argument for Fluttermane. The argument for Indeedee is Rillaboom really threatening against all my Pokemon. Having the option to kind of stuff it if it goes for a Psychic Terrain is pretty cool. Could I go... Yeah, I'm Psychic. I'm not sure. I could go Indeedee Armarouge in the back. And on some level, I'm actually leaning towards that. This is pretty reliant on me beating the Roaring Moon pretty early, or at least forcing the Tera out, but I do think that the Urshifu does a good job of that. Maybe the Fluttermane would have done a little bit better of a job of that, but it is what it is. I think because the Roaring Moon can't protect him from the Urshifu, I think I can go for close combat a little more safely. If it doesn't protect, I take a knockout. Yeah, okay. Roaring Moon plus the Urshifu, totally fine by me. They could go straight for Hypnosis. They're Photosynthesis. We'll see if they're attack or speed. It is speed, which indicates a couple things. I think Taunt is good here. I have Sword Stance on this guy, which is pretty cool. Do I need Tera Psychic on the Armarouge this battle? Probably I could. I could get some value out of that. I kind of want to go Taunt Tera Sword Stance here. And I think I will do that defensively. They could Scald, which would be annoying. Yeah, that's my one fear here. Yeah, that's only 30%, and I feel like they're more likely to go for Coil, though. So we're going to go right for this. I think they could be a Breaking Swipe one, but I don't think that covers Tailwind close combat that well. So this is what we're going for. And I went for the Tera just because if they go Tera Flying, I don't want them to catch me with that. We're taunting the Milo in case they go for Coil or Hypnosis. Don't want to get hit by either of those. What we have not covered is the Scald option. And they'd go for the Coil, so we perfectly hit that. And then I honestly think Surging Strikes might knock out their Roaring Moon. I'm not sure about it though. But I feel like Tailwind Protect is decent. Close Combat's gotta knock out the Milo, I would have to guess. But eyes on the prize, I think we should go after the Roaring Moon here, at least chip it into Bleak Wind range with Surging Strikes. And I don't really want to lower my defense, so yeah, I'm going to go Tailwind, Bleak Wind here. Or Tailwind Surging Strikes into the Roaring Moon. This also covers them going for... I guess it doesn't cover Breaking Swipe, but I just really don't want to lose. Yeah, they go Knock Off, which is going to do decent damage. Oh, a lot more damage than I would have expected. Yep. I don't think this will knock them out. Oh, it will knock them out, actually. That's pretty crazy, even without Mystic Water. I think that's at least... Yeah, that's really, really good. Because we covered their Tera as well. So that's kind of just the value of the Swords Dance. You're basically able to ignore the type chart. Now they have to go for, like, probably a Scald Burn. And wait, Blizzard? Okay. Okay, buddy. Yeah, so Coil Blizzard, just trying to make use of the accuracy boost of the Coil, so very glad we got that off. We were able to deal with them that way. Rillaboom is on the field. I could go for Grass Knot into them, and I'm kind of tempted to. That's not necessary, right? I think Bleak Wind's pretty good. Do they have any switch-ins at this point? Not really. Let's just monitor our Tailwind turns a little more closely. I think if we go Bleak Wind, we should have the damage we need to knock them out. I could have protected or switched to the Indeedee here, which maybe is a little better. Almost certainly is better. But yeah, I think switching into Indeedee would have been better here because unless they're max speed unless they're max speed Rillaboom, I get the close combat off, I knock that out. And then I have Follow Me pressure and I just take out knockouts the rest of the game. But the Bleak Wind line is similarly good. It just relies on me hitting the Rillaboom with the hit, which I do. And now I think the way we get there is kind of irrelevant. We bring in there was Citrus Berry on the Rilla, so yeah, having said that, like, although we're in a similar spot where we are going to get the Indeedee plus the Sweeper in, this is... Oh, have they burned their Tera yet? They have not. Yeah, so this is why I should have saved the... I forgot they didn't have Tera left. Yeah, I forgot they didn't have Tera left, so I definitely should have been switched to Indeedee, Close Combat, or even Protect is fine. Surging Strikes is fine to cover switches, but I think 1, relying on Bleak Wind was a mistake, and 2, forgetting they don't have Tera, so like this isn't an uncontested Expanding Force. They can still survive this on the Iron Hands, and then potentially knock me out with a Wild Charge crit. Yeah, they're switching out the Rillaboom into the Milotic. They might tank this hit, but not easily, I would say. We'll see what Tera they are. But yeah. Definitely got caught slipping on the Urshifu. Could have gotten a lot more aggressive. Or could have gotten a lot more value out of it, especially because it's Terrifier Iron Hands in the end. Regardless, that's fine. They made a good read switching out the Rillaboom just because Milotic's not really going to get cooking this late in the battle. Oh, they would have lived a Life Orb hit. Okay, that's interesting. Wild Charge doing a lot, but not enough, I would say. Yeah, this is fine, I think. I'm pretty sure Expanding Force will knock out their Milotic if I want it, which I think I do. Do I go after the Iron Hand? Yeah, I don't want to get hit by a Scald, so I'm going to Expanding Force into the Milotic slot. I'm actually paying attention to the targeting this turn because I fully expect them to switch out into their Rillaboom on one of the slots. So Expanding Force won't just hit both. What I actually target will be the one that gets hit, but yeah, Rillaboom out into the... or Iron Hands out into the Rillaboom, so Expanding Force, single target, but no longer in Psychic Drain, probably won't knock out, actually. So maybe a mistake there. Yeah, I probably should have been Helping Hand. Expanding Force there, and they hit their Hypnosis. Okay. All in all, not the worst, though. Because if I hit my Bleak Wind on both, yeah, I've introduced a lot of ifs on Bleak Wind when I could have just swept with the Urshifu, so definitely a mistake there. Bleak Wind might not even knock out the Milo, but they did have to hit a Hypnosis out of Coil to get here. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go Bleak Wind plus the... yeah, I'm just going Bleak Wind plus the attack with anything on Armarouge to try and burn a turn of sleep. After this one, I'll be able to wake up at any turn in the future. It'll just be random. Covert Cloak covers me pretty well here as long as I don't get hit. But you can definitely tell that the damage saved... Okay, yeah, we double KO here, but dodging the Blizzard early in the battle ended up being pretty important because potentially they could have Grassy Glide crit to knock me out here. Now though, to knock out all my Pokemon, they either have to go for like Wild Charge or Heavy Slam. And I think the damage output at this point is just going to be a little too much for them to contend with. Because I can switch into like the damage output into themselves, because they can't really Drain Punch anything. I resist Drain Punch on everything, so I'm not really worried. And they can Wild Charge me. I guess the best play is always just like bring in Indeedee. They have to go for Wild Charge to survive. They cancel though. I don't think it was necessarily over, but yeah, given they have to go for Wild Charge to take the knockout on the Torn, at some point it just comes down to if I have to miss like 2 Bleak Winds in a row, I would expect, after all the Wild Charge damage they've taken, so they don't want to just extend the battle to roll the turns, which definitely appreciated, but yeah, I think looking back on that, I definitely put the battle into Bleak Wind Storm win conditions instead of just like a little safer of taking the guaranteed knockout with the Urshifu on the Rillaboom, so not totally proud of that, but was still a pretty favorable matchup after that first couple turns, I think, and played into a win regardless. Okay, up against a pretty standard looking team with Fluttermane, Landorus, Ogerpon Waterform, Heatran, Cresselia, and Iron Hands. I actually brought this exact 6 to a regional. It's a pretty strong comp, but definitely requires some pretty precise play, so I think a team like ours fares pretty decently against it, truthfully. No Rillaboom means the Psychic Spam is actually reasonably good, and kind of limits some of their options. They could go for the Anti-Trick Room with the Cresselia, that'd be something. I kind of want to bait out, like, Iron Hand seems pretty good from them. Yeah, Indeedee Armarouge seems pretty valuable, truthfully. Like, I don't see a lot stopping me from doing that with Tailwind in the back. They can Rock Slide, that's about it. Yeah, that seems very good to me. And in the back, who do I want to go with? Who is good here for me? I think they're all pretty strong. Ursaluna could be cool. Fluttermane, I think, is the weakest, the least compelling. I think I like Urshifu the most just because of the ability to hit through Protect. Like the Tailwind turns, if I have Tornadus in the back, they're going to be even more valuable because they're probably... Like, I'm offsetting it from the beginning of the battle, so I will already have like maybe 1, even 2 Expanding Forces off, at which point they're really going to have limited defensive resources, and Protect is probably going to be one of them, so if I can even erase that, it becomes even easier for me. So Heatran plus Ogerpon, fair enough. I think this is a very, very safe, like if they have Substitute, that's fine. I think I actually outspeed you and hit you first with the Expanding Force, so I'm going to go right for this. I don't really see how they can... I guess if they're like grassy terrain Ogerpon, they could cover this, I guess, but yeah, I think this is a matchup where we really just get to click buttons, honestly. They're switching out. That's not going to tank this. I'm sorry, bud. Whatever this is, it's not going to tank it. Yeah, Cresselia is probably taking 40, maybe 50 because of the Psychic Surge plus the Psychic Terrain. And unless they're Rock Slide Heatran, or Earthquake Heatran, they can't hit my Armarouge. I'm a fast Armarouge, so I'm outspeeding you before you can get up a sub. If I'd Helping Handed, this would be super over, but I didn't want to risk like Ivy Cudgel crit, which is reasonable. So yep, big damage into both. Yeah, not a 2-hit KO though, which is a little difficult. Okay. The question now is, do I think Armor Cannon with Helping Hand knocks them out? Expanding Force becomes base 120, I believe, plus the 1.3 multiplier. I think there's still really no reason not to go for Helping Hand here. I could go Trick Room. I could go Trick Room. The Life Orb, I think, chipped them into range here. I think I'm going to go for it. Because what could Cresselia do? It could go for Trick Room, Ally Switch, Helping Hand. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Trick Room and reverse it on them. I could Helping Hand, that'd be an option. If this doesn't knock out the Heatran, I think given the Life Orb, it will knock out, yeah. If they'd been leftovers, I would have had to go for Helping Hand there. But I think they're really going to try and turn it into Trick Room here. Oh, okay. Alright, that's not great. That's pretty bad for me. Okay. Well, I could have gone Helping Hand and really ruined their day, but alright. I think best of 3, if I know it, they have Trick Room, I go for that again, but in best of 1, given the lead I have, I probably shouldn't throw that hard. Given they still have Tera Ogerpon left. Oh, okay, that's interesting. They probably have to Tera, if I had to guess. Ogerpon in the back. Psychic, Ice Beam. Do I think Wild Charge is a knockout here? Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, this is super annoying. Ah, man, threw that. Okay. It could follow me, I could Expanding Force. Would Wild Charge... I'm gonna bet on Wild Charge Expanding Force. Or Wild Charge Ice Beam not knocking out my Armarouge. That could be wrong. They could also target incorrectly into the Indeedee. Dragon Tera. Okay. That's pretty cool. It would have beaten my Urshifu pretty hardcore. Yeah, reversing into the Trick Room was a big mistake for me there. Yeah, they Drain Punch incorrectly into the Indeedee. Just trying... I don't think that's... I guess they don't want to take the Wild Charge damage, but at this point with Helping Hand, Psychic Terrain, I'm not... Oh, Calm Mind. Yeah, I definitely shouldn't have Trick Room. That's interesting from them. Alright. Unfortunately, I can't Protect. Calm Mind, Lunar Blessing. Very interesting. Okay. Oh my goodness. Even without the Tera, we knocked them out. That's so crazy. Okay. We still only have 2 turns burned of Trick Room. I think that means we kind of have to switch out, unfortunately. Lunar Blessing is such a pain here. Such a pain. Okay. Well, I think we'll underspeed their Ogerpon still, right? No, this is super winnable. 123, you'd have to be low speed Ogerpon to live that. I think we go Expanding Force. How many turns of that do we have left? 2 turns. Yeah, I think we go Expanding Force plus Taunt into the Cresselia. How many turns of Trick Room though? 3 turns. Man, setting up Trick Room was such a mistake for me. Yeah, I think we just go Taunt into the Cresselia. So they can't Lunar Dance up. Oh, they cancel. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that was kind of precarious. If they had Wild Charge Ice Beam, they might have knocked me out, but just the pure power of Life Orb, Tera Psychic, Helping Hand, Expanding Force, and Psychic Terrain is just like enough to knock out even probably an Assault Vest Iron Hands is pretty crazy. I wouldn't have expected that. But that is kind of like the value of this team. You can see why it did, or a variant of it, was able to get top 8 at a regional. Just the options you have against teams without Rillaboom or a Dark type are so oppressive. Like, to answer the Indeedee, you have to like take an Expanding Force, and then you have to answer the Tailwind, and then you have to answer whatever's in the back if you're able to even get to the Armarouge on that turn. So it's just a really, really oppressive team. Alright, this one we have Torn, Urshifu, Gholdengo, Amoonguss, Iron Hands, and Arcanine. That's fine. This is where Wide Guard on Armarouge comes in pretty handy. I think the Armarouge plus Indeedee does really well into everything but the Arcanine lead. Yeah, so I'm expecting Arcanine to lead to some extent. What are we going to do about that, though? Yeah, what do we do there? I kind of like Armarouge lead, actually, interestingly enough. I think Indeedee in the back is decent, too. But the Wild Charge seems super high value. High value for me. Or the Wide Guard seems super high value. I could see Urshifu being good here. I think Amoonguss and their Pokemon are a little dangerous. Fluttermane feels like the safest pick, so I'm going to go with that. It can deal pretty big damage against all their Pokemon, so going for that option. I'm actually not a super speedy Fluttermane, so their Tornadus could outspeed me and get some damage off before unexpectedly if they're a speedy one, so I have to kind of be on guard. Gholdengo Arcanine is their lead of choice, okay. It's not ideal. They could head smash my Armarouge, that would be interesting. Yikes, okay. Grass, yeah. Urshifu would have been pretty excellent here, but not the case. I honestly don't mind. I kind of like Tailwind, Wide Guard here. The problem is if they head smash me, I get in a bit of trouble. If they're like if they're fast Shadow Ball, that's an issue too. Or a Life Orb Shadow Ball, that's an issue. Yeah, but I'm kind of playing off of Rock Slide, Nasty Plot being their play here or something like that. There is Rock Slide, but I'm not in much better position if they go for Shadow Ball. What's it gonna be? It was Shadow Ball. If they're Specs, this is really bad. Yeah, okay. That's not quite game losing, but it's pretty close. Okay. So definitely got caught there, trying to cheese a bit. Like, could have gone for a Tailwind, Tera Psychic, Heat Wave, knocked out the Gholdengo, but, you know, it is what it is. I probably should have gone for that. The issue is if they go for a Tera, then I am in bad shape from that, so... You know, not gonna sweat bullets over it. I think I kind of have to go for this. I think I lived normal Shadow Ball. I think they have to be Specs for that to knock out. So I'm assuming that it's Specs and going for Tera Fairy to resist that and hoping Grass Knot plus Shadow Ball knocks out the Arcanine. I'm not sure of the base power. I would expect at least 100 on the Grass Knot against Arcanine. But they protect. Okay, so not knowing my damage rolls at all. Shadow Ball into that guy should be... Oh, Grass Knight's going to be pretty close, but I expect not a knockout. Oh, it is. Cool. It's probably a 120 then. If it was 100, I don't think that would have knocked out. But yeah, that's a really big double up, I'd say. At this point, though, they do have a free Make It Rain into me. Amoonguss comes out. That's a reasonably safe taunt. Although they can just go for Make It Rain. They could... Yeah, okay. Make It Rain at neutral should not knock me out, though. So I think I can go for Taunt Protect. This doesn't cover for Make It Rain, though. Like, Protect Make It Rain would be... Protect Nasty Plot is their best play, given my play, but... Doesn't really cover Shadow Ball very well at all. So I think it's kind of read time. No Tera yet from them, so once again could have gone like Bleak Wind Shadow Ball probably knocks out Amoonguss. They go for Rage Powder, so we're kind of stuffing that unless they're Mental Herb, which is definitely concerning. Are you Nasty Plot or no? That's the question. There isn't a Nasty Plot. I'm gonna assume it's Terra Dragon and go for... Do I? Yeah, I think so. I think I go Bleak Wind, Dazzling Gleam here to try and cover like Iron Hands or something like that. I'm pretty sure Dazzling Gleam will knock out. Yeah, let's go for it. They also alternatively could... Oh my... What? Okay. Alright, yeah. Whoops. Could have easily gone for Shadow Ball that turn then. Okay, that's pretty frustrating, but, you know, they made the correct read. And now I just lose. Okay. Yeah, I didn't get a lot of turns right that game. I crit the Torn, but it didn't matter. That is kind of how this team goes, is like each turn, like you could obviously see the emotions going through me in that battle, just like compared to like a more balanced team, each individual turn and read matters so much more, so when you miss one, it just feels so much worse. But I think that was a little weird. Maybe they're just like a very bulky Gholdengo with like very little speed investment, so that they could live that Shadow Ball plus Bleak Wind, but I really don't think that you can live that combination without running like max special defense on the Gholdengo, and given they knocked out the Armarouge turn 1, their damage output suggests they don't really have the EVs to go around to do that. But yeah. Yeah, well played to them. They definitely got me pretty much every turn, and I definitely made some mistakes on the Armarouge, like... Well, I'm not sure. It depends on if Heat Wave, like, one alternative route I could have taken that game from the beginning is going basically Tailwind, Tera Psychic, Heat Wave to survive the Rock Slide 1 and hopefully knock out the Gholdengo with the Heat Wave. I'm not sure it does, but you probably get pretty close. But because I didn't go for that, just given the game that played out off of turn 1, I think... yeah, I'm not sure. I think Bleak Wind, Dazzling Gleam covered, for example, an Iron Hand switching in a bit better, trying to go for Fake Out. So I don't really regret that play. Yeah, I don't regret that play just because Terra Dragon Gholdengo is the most common one by far these days, but ultimately kind of got punished pretty hard. Even on the... Like, if I'd gone for Dazzling Gleam the previous turn, knowing that I could have lived the Nasty Plot, or the neutral Make It Rain, that would have been better. Because then I can more freely just go for Shadow Ball, knowing that even if they Tera, the combination of Shadow Ball plus the Bleak Wind after I've already hit one Dazzling Gleam with the Tera Fairy should probably knock out, opens up my lines of play a lot better. But on to the next one, we have an Ogerpon, Landorus, Roaring Moon, Iron Hands, Gholdengo, and Weezing. Okay. I do think Weezing is definitely super valuable against... Like, Weezing Roaring Moon definitely looks good for them. Ursaluna looks pretty good to me, honestly. I could go Tera. Taunt is an issue for sure. Will-O-Wisp not so much. I think I'm actually going to go Torn Ursaluna here. If I can get Tailwind up, I'm cooking with Psychic Terrain in the back, but I have to knock out the Weezing pretty early to do that, which I think is pretty likely, honestly. I'm not so worried about that. The question is, do I go Flutter, which is always going to have its ability activate. That feels a little safer to me, given all the bulk EVs I have. I'm going to go with that, and then... Follow Me. I think Urshifu... Oops, I keep going for the Indeedee mode, but I don't think it's quite optimal. Like, I'm trying to path it out where, like, super perfectly, where I would in like a best of 3 open team sheet, where I can just be like, okay, this is, if I lead this will happen, and then I'll have Indeedee plus super threatening threat. But in a closed team sheet environment like ladder, I think I have to be a little more comfortable, like going for the more consistent options instead of like the things that will execute me a win pretty much all the time as long as X happens. Yep, there is the photosynthesis. I think I'm gonna go right for Hyper Voice Tailwind here though. Like they have to go for a couple things here. If they want Tailwind not to go off, they have to go for Tailwind and Taunt onto my Tornadus, which gives me the opportunity to get the Hyper Voice and more importantly the Throat Spray boost from the Hyper Voice. You know what would be interesting? Would be Tera Ghost on the Weezing, because Mind's Eye is not active and it would mean the Earth Power isn't a knockout. Very, very cool. Okay. Regardless, I think 2 Earth Powers will knock them out, so I'm glad I'm getting this boost up. They go knock off, which means I should get the Tailwind up though, so I'm very, very glad with this. Yeah, I think you go Tailwind Taunt if that's your play on the Tera, because now we're just gonna spiral out of control. Yep, big damage on the Roaring Moon. We can knock that out with Blood Moon next turn. And Bleak Wind's gonna be doing a pretty penny. Okay, Gunk Shot, doubling up. Not a knockout if they get the poison though. Okay, no poison. They can double protect here pretty safely, but Blood Moon should knock out. Oh, they're speed booster, so I won't outspeed you, will I? No, I won't. Okay. Speed booster is annoying for sure. I think I outspeed Weezing pretty safely. I can actually Prankster Taunt the Roaring Moon very safely because it's not Prankster Taunt. Because they've shut off my Prankster, so I can actually taunt a Dark type. And I naturally outspeed because of the Tailwind. They go knock off, but I think in the grand scheme I'm actually happy with that play regardless. Yeah, Earth Power does a huge chunk to the Weezing. Another's going to be a knockout, and more importantly, it's in range of pretty much everything in the back. And they missed their Gunk Shot, which isn't good for them, but I think is fine for me. I'm going to Blood Moon the Roaring Moon now that they can't even protect it, and Bleak Wind the Weezing. It's kind of a natural synergy of Taunt plus Blood Moon. If earlier in the battle, like right before Torn's going down, usually you don't get a ton of value out of Taunt, but this is one of the situations where you do, because I guarantee a Blood Moon onto that slot. We lower their speed, which is actually relevant. It lets us hit the Blood Moon before they are able to go for another knockoff. It wasn't going to knock us out, but like you can imagine if Gunk Shot had gone off, that would have been annoying. But I think I always go into Flutter Mane in a couple turns and kind of just clean up with Tera Fairy Dazzling Gleam, so I'm not too concerned about that. And it does look like I'm 1 turn away from activating my items, or my abilities, so we're looking good. I would say no reason really to even go for the abilities. Should I go Grass Knot? I think so. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Protect. I think I'm always knocking you out with Earth Power, Grass Knot. Going for Grass Knot just because it'll do similar damage to Bleak Wind 100% of the time instead of maybe a little less, like 20% of the time. But yeah, there is the Gunk Shot. They're going to eliminate my Tailwind, which is like, okay, it's not great, obviously, but given the Urshifu in the back and the Flutter Mane in the back, I feel fine. Maybe I try and preserve it by knocking them out with Bleak Wind that turn, but I think the guaranteed damage into the Iron Hands is a little more valuable. Because now I'm very sure Earth Power knocks them out, whereas otherwise, like, I wouldn't be so sure before. Like, I think Earth Power Dazzling Gleam exceedingly safe here. Like, the one thing they could switch in is the Ogre Pawn, or I guess the Landorus, but that's not loving taking this anyways. And because I'm a super duper bulky Flutter Mane, they actually have to go for Rock Slide. If they bring in the Lando, they don't even bother switching. So yeah, we're knocking out the Weezing, and because we are a super fast bear, I guess Iron Hands could be fast enough to outspeed the bear, but I kind of doubt it. The gas wears off, and the Mind's Eye uselessly activates as we Earth Power the hands. So yeah, this is just kind of like Ursaluna is such a bulky Pokemon that oftentimes you can just lead it with Tornadus and just like start clicking buttons. Yep, and there is the Ogerpon. I think I go Tera. Yeah, I think I just go Tera plus... No, I think I Hyper Voice this turn actually because they're more likely to go for... Horn Leech could be... No. I think this turn you scout out the Tera on my Flutter by going for Spiky Shield, so I'm delaying my Blood Moon by a turn, which will basically force them to have to target the Blood Moon next turn, giving me more than one Moonblast. Actually, I forgot my Flutter Mane is like 168 speed, so their Ogerpon could outspeed me and hit me with an Ivy Cudgel. It doesn't though, so getting the full value out of our bulk while also outspeeding them. And yeah, that's pretty close to a knockout. They Ivy Cudgel, but given how the speeds just broke down and we have Urshifu in the back, it's gonna close out there. Yeah, so thinking on that battle, I think they did the best they could on the Weezing. If they aren't EV'd to outspeed my Tornadus after Tailwind goes up, I'm not max speed Tornadus, so they probably could. Maybe I am max speed. I'm not sure. I forget the EVs on this team, but yeah, if they go for the taunt, then I'm only getting the Hyper Voice off that turn, but then again, afterwards, I can kind of just go for Bleak Wind, Blood Moon instead of Roaring Moon, and just start like picking things off, and then once taunt finally does end, I just get it up. Given they only had Iron Hands and Ogerpon in the back, so I'll always get the Tailwind up. Okay, up against Maddie, who is up pretty high, 120 something on the ladder. They have Chi-Yu, Rillaboom, Chien-Pao, Dragonite, Urshifu, and Iron Hands, so exceptionally strong against the Indeedee plus Armarouge combination, I think. But we still might be able to thread it in. Probably not, but maybe. Indeedee, late game in the back seems good against the Rillaboom, the Chien-Pao, the Dragonite. I think I could see that being pretty strong. Could consider going Trick Room for the Ursaluna. That'd be an option. I think Torn lead seems strong to me. I believe I'm Terra Ghost, but I might be Terra Steel. Yeah, I'm Terra Steel. Okay. Not as good, but still decent. Probably Scarf Urshifu to contend with here. How fast am I? Can I outspeed that? I think so. I think that will be outsped by my Armarouge. But I can't really do both on lead. I think Flutter Mane lead is pretty strong against a lot of their Pokemon. Urshifu, I think, is my best lead. And then Indeedee in the back. And I think I'm going to leave the more interesting Pokemon on the bench this battle. I feel like just Psychic Terrain on its own is more valuable than the other two against all the priority, specifically from my Flutter Mane in Tailwind. Yeah, if I can chip what I need to early game with the Urshifu and the... One problem for this team is definitely Rillaboom. If they preserve it well, then your Indeedee doesn't get a lot of value. It is the Dragonite plus the Urshifu, so Flutter Mane would have been a little stronger here for me. That's okay. I don't really think I want to go for Terra Steel just yet, because they can Surging Strikes me pretty safely. Okay. Yeah, this is problematic. I might go Terra Steel. Do I have to do that? Let's go Tailwind. I think that's pretty necessary, and then maybe Swords Dance is interesting. Yeah, I think Swords Dance is kind of interesting for me here. They do not go for extreme speed, so maybe they are just like going for Thunder Punch or something. I wasn't getting a lot of damage. Like, I don't think the damage on close combat would have been that meaningful. And they go, okay, maybe they're doubling up on me. Yikes, okay. What did you go for on the Dragonite? Scale Shot is very interesting. Alright, Terra Steel would have been better for me there. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Alright, didn't expect that. So they're lowering their speed in exchange for, yeah, that's probably loaded dice. Kind of want to switch into Indeedee here. And I think I have a knockout into that slot with close combat. I don't think I'm really worried about the Dragonite though. Or the Urshifu. If I knew they were not extreme speed, my play here would be Grass Knot into the Urshifu and Surging Strike. But because I don't have that information, I'm going to assume the +2 Surging Strike at -1 Dragonite is a knockout, and hope they're going for extreme speed. They do go for it. Into the Urshifu, which is a little telling. That's not a knockout. Okay, that's fine. Oh, they were multi-scale. Okay, yeah, no wonder that was doing so little damage. That's a very interesting set on the Dragonite. Deviating pretty far. I would have expected Choice Band, but I've never seen Scale Shot. That's quite interesting. Could be Swords Dance Scale Shot. Let's see who they close combat, though. Into the Urshifu, fair enough. They're now at -2, though, which is good. Yeah, that's super fine. I should have a free Dazzling Gleam into whatever they have in the back. Like Helping Hand Dazzling Gleam if it's not Rillaboom. And Dazzling Gleam if it is. Just like to break the Chimp out Focus Sash is what I'm getting at. Iron Hands, okay. That is fine by me. They cannot knock out my Rillaboom almost for sure. If they switch into Rillaboom, they could fake out. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just go Follow Me. Rillaboom switch. I feel like you would have switched in Rillaboom that turn potentially. It feels like it'd be very, very aggressive to read. Yeah, no switch out into the Rillaboom, so definitely getting the most out of my Flutter Mane damage output this turn. I'm pretty sure after 2 close combats, Dazzling Gleam would always pick up Rillaboom or the Urshifu even if it went for the Tera. Could be Focus Sash though. It could be Focus Sash. They're going for a Tera on one of their Pokemon. Hopefully it's not Tera Fire Hands, that'd be kind of problematic. Okay. Not the end of the world, but definitely worse than any other Tera, obviously. The Follow Me, it might get us there though. Follow Me definitely might get us there. See how much this does. It was Sash, okay. Alright, unfortunately, because of that, then Aqua Jet will be able to knock out our Torn. Yikes, okay. That's not a knockout, but I wonder how much that matters. Because of Heavy Slam on... Oh man, okay, Tera Fire Hands is pretty disastrous for us there. Okay. Yeah, really interesting Dragonite set, and just sets in general. The Focus Sash made them a lot safer against Flutter Mane, so they definitely like making the most of the information advantage for them. Yeah, I just don't see a win here, actually. I'd have to live Oblique Wind. They'd have to have no Aqua Jet. I'd have to hit the Bleak Wind, they'd have to have no Aqua Jet, and I'd have to have a winning matchup against whatever's in the back, and they do have the Aqua Jet, okay. Yeah, man, not Scarf Urshifu on this team is not something I'm used to. That also means that opens up the Scarf on, or the Focus Sash on the Chen Pao, so I feel like that's a lot less consistent in the long run, but definitely in a best of one environment, just like swings it in their favor, so I'll happily give that up. Yeah, really smart choices specifically to catch people off guard, and I couldn't have actually detected it earlier in the battle because I went for Tailwind, so I didn't know they weren't Scarf and the Urshifu, so well played to them. I guess if I'm going to read the extreme speed on the Dragonite anyways, I probably should have just like Surging Striked their Urshifu for that knockout. But, you know, hindsight, knowing their Focus Sash now makes it a lot different. But good game to them. So that will conclude our session today with Enzo Reci's regional top 8 team. The really cool Tornadus take on the Indeedee Armarouge PsySpam combination, along with a new addition in the Throat Spray Ursaluna. I really do like that. The Blood Moon plus Hyper Voice. Really, the Throat Spray Hyper Voice combo means you're doing insane damage throughout the battle. If they don't knock out the Ursaluna on the first turn you go for Hyper Voice, they're really in for a world of hurt, so I do like that a lot. The Urshifu and the Fluttermane didn't prove that strong for us. It definitely had... I feel like we could have played a little bit better with those. It didn't feel like a weakness of the team so much, but yeah, the Indeedee Armarouge Tornadus Ursaluna mode, very much pick up and play, so I definitely recommend you try that out. If you want to do that, I have the Pokepaste with the EV spreads in the description below, as well as the rental code in the top right of the video. With all that being said, if you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, and peace, y'all.